So I saw this in the rack at the Holts Sealed Bid March 2024 sale. It was lot 6193 with an estimate of what, 200 to 300 or something? I can't entirely remember. Go and watch that video if you want to know the exact things. Nowadays I try to be good about not buying things from Holts, but occasionally when you see something like this that is cool and rare and different, I had to have it. So I put in £275 and I won it. So plus commission, what's that? 358 quid, which really isn't that bad for a gun with this kind of spec. You have a relatively plain walnut stock, ventilated pad, red spacer. It's got a relatively open pistol grip with a palm swell. Again, this gun was made in 1979, predating the massive palm swells, but actually it feels great, fits the hand really nicely. It's a cool gun. On the top you have a safety catch with a lock off, so you can actually lock this off if you want into safety position, because this is a trap gun. What's interesting is it's kind of hard to find much info out about the Franchi Barrage, or Franchi Barrage, other than they were made in Italy by Franchi for a period of time. What I do know is they made sporting and trap models, and I kind of assume this is a trap model, although it is bored out at 1/4 and 3/4 choke, which isn't the most common choking for trap. That said, a rib like this on a sporting gun in 1979 would have been pretty unheard of. So let's just assume that it was for trap and whoever had it wanted a 1/4 choke. Who knows, right? Perhaps not Olympic trap. There's a lot of trap disciplines. Something like DTL, perhaps a 1/4 choke is enough. I really don't know. And I've done some digging, but I probably need to go into Italian Google to find out more. You have a black action here, gold trigger, very minimal engraving, slight border, slight bit around the trunnion, gold barrage on the side, with the Franchi branding on the bottom. We have been fondly calling this Franchi Barrage. Just in front of the monoblock here you have Luigi Franchi SPA Brescia, made in Italy, and this ramped step-up rib here, with the main reason I bought it, which is a red tram line down the middle. I thought that was really interesting, kind of cool, bit different, like why not? I've never seen anything like it, and so I wanted to see whether this was a revolutionary concept that was forgotten or whether it was a bit of a waste of time. The fact we don't see it on many other guns probably dictates it was a bit of a flash in the pan. The forend is released by a lever, which reveals the barrels, which have half a midrib, little spacer in there, and a barrel hanger at the front. Balance-wise, this 8-pound gun sits just in front of the hinge by about 1/4 inch, nothing too crazy. It's quite a subtle gun, but it's the sort of gun when you pick it up, you go, yeah, we can shoot that, we can have fun with that. Speaking of which, let's go have fun with it.
That feels, just to put up, really, really nice. Surprisingly high in the stock. For me, see, you said you thought I was going to find that low. I find that high. I can't take my eye off the 1980s inspired, very fast looking rib.
How cool is that?
Yeah, I've genuinely never seen that, but I think it'll be very, very shootable from the feel of it. I think it's got mechanical triggers on it as well, so that'll be interesting. That's one of the things I notice the odd time I do pick up something that's a bit rustic, is if you've been used to something with quite nice trigger pulls, go into something that's cheap and horrible, but
the trigger pulls on this are
yeah.
I mean, one of the questions that we've had, which is for you, Ed, really, is kind of how much rib do you see and how much should you see?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I see a lot, and I like to see a lot, but my view on that purely is the more I'm up over the top of the gun, the better vision I have around it.
Yeah, you get to keep eyes on the target at all points.
Yeah, it's one of those things, how long's a piece of string, how do people like it? It's personal preference, but I would say as much as you can see without finding it causes you to go over the top. Once you've put 100 rounds through something, to be honest, you could quite happily get used to that, right? Like you said, we're shooting different guns yourself all the time.
Yeah,
you
I reckon
kind of self-adjust.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that feels really, really legit. It doesn't feel cheap. I'm sure it was, because you bought it here for a reason.
Yeah.
But that feels like a legitimate, proper competition gun.
Well, it's a professional trap gun. So we've got full and half choke. Okay. Which should be about right. Maybe.
Well, I mean, it'll be a bit more than we need on this stand, but we are going to go to another stand in a minute, which has got a really good Batu on it. But yeah, I'm very interested to see how this goes. Is the trigger fairly sensitive?
Rather, yes.
Yeah.
Let's try that again.
This doesn't usually happen. Feels okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, every bit of yeah.
Every bit of yeah.
What's interesting in the light is the red kind of disappears with the reflection.
Yeah, yeah, it's almost, sort of almost turns a bit silvery, doesn't it? Hits them like a freight train, doesn't it? No complaints from my end. Yeah, for something that's clearly not going to be very much money, that feels very, very shootable to me. I'd have no issue with someone saying, yeah, do you reckon that's a good shout? Absolutely.
People say shooting costs a lot of money. And it doesn't necessarily have to a lot of the time. It's about prioritising where you spend. And I guess my question is always, where is the best place to spend? I think people spend a lot on a gun because it's nice. It's nice to have nice things, but you can get away with spending less on a gun. Where, in your opinion, guys, would you be spending your money? Like, you have to really prioritise where to spend your cash. Where would it be?
I think for me, it's coaching.
Learning how to do it.
Learning how to do it.
Good boy.
Well, it is, isn't it? I mean, you can spend all the money you like on a gun, you can spend all the money you like on glasses, and this is coming from us, but if you haven't got a fundamental pre-shot routine, if you haven't got the capacity to understand the dynamics of certain types of target, you're just wasting your money.
Yeah, I mean, I got asked the other day, I think it was 2 or 3 days ago, a chap I previously recommended just said, what should I get as a starter? I said, MK38, bomb-proof, really, really good. He said, I've got on really well with it. I want to spend sort of 2 to 3 grand. What would you do? I said, to be honest, if you're getting on really well with it, keep shooting it. 2 or 3 grand extra in a gun's not going to necessarily give you anything. Whereas 2 or 3,000 pounds worth of cartridges and practice and experience or a bit of coaching or whatever, that's probably going to get you more. Yes, it's nice to have nice stuff, but you've seen whatever that is, the Beretta that we did last time, which was
600 quid.
600 quid. I mean,
Very good. What a cracking piece of kit that is.
Doesn't feel like pounds.
no, it's just a really nice, shootable feeling gun. You wouldn't feel like, it's not like that one of those side-by-side things that you've chucked at me
We've had some
previously.
pretty awful ones in the past.
Yeah, that's a very, very nice piece of kit. Drive away from it. Even with the terrible transition height-wise onto the second hold point, which, yes, I did see that.
Yeah, no, it broke. It broke.
Yeah,
It broke.
good. First one, much better. This has got nice trigger pulls.
Beautiful.
She works. I mean, we haven't bothered looking at the fit in detail because why would we with 3 completely, one left-hander, one giraffe and one big strong boy.
Yeah.
If you're looking at spending some money on a starter gun, you're almost inevitably going to get rid of it in 12 months. So something like that, you can't go wrong.
No,
and to be entirely honest,
if you wanted,
I would say that would do you for your first 3 or 4 years if you wanted to take it pretty seriously, because that's a completely shootable gun. You could spend £2,000 on a new gun, and to be entirely honest, I don't think you get anything better than that.
Guys, I am now back in some kind of health, and I thought, hey, before we put this video out, I felt like it made sense for me to shoot it whilst I was on a bit of form, so I could truly appreciate it as opposed to just being frustrated with my own ability. 100%, everything the Ed said is fairly well true. You are better investing in a gun like this, a world-grade gun that may need a bit of fitting and lessons and equipment to actually get you to the stage that it's worth in investing in something a little better. I've said it a few times now that I'd rather own something old of world-class quality than something new of lesser quality. And of course there I'm talking mostly about cheaper Turkish guns, which compete with this at price point. And I do obviously appreciate the warranty and the shininess of a new gun, but There's just something about this that is true and original and honest and characterful and definitely of a better standard build. And it's hard to say in a world that now appreciates Turkish guns potentially more than guns like this. But I'd love to know your thoughts, right? Because as much as I hear people speak about Turkish guns going, oh, they're not as good, because people are buying them more than they're buying this kind of thing, and I'd love to know why down in the comments section. If you have bought yourself a new Yildiz, ATA, Koffs, Webley and Scott, why did you opt to do that over something like this? Is it the risk factor? Maybe, right? I mean, I find the whole thing a little confusing, honestly, as to why somebody would choose one over the other. For me, this is a special gun. Like, it's got history, it's got character, and it transpires it shoots a lot better than I thought it did. Well, I knew it shot well, I knew I didn't shoot well the other day. But the way this turns off clays, the way this moves, is of a quality that you don't find in new guns under £1,000 for sure. I think we can declare that another Holts bargain. Often in the sealed bid, there's a lot of things that, you know, are tired versions of something great, and then you get things like this. This is a relatively unknown great gun. You know, it's not got a selector, it's not got multi-chokes, it's lacking in a few things that people would often want in a sporting gun. I have had a good look through Italian and Spanish Google, and honestly, it seems to be these guns have a great reputation. They're quite big inside, they're quite basic, the ejection system and lockup is copied from a very famous gun, so it's hardly a unreliable thing, and that seems to be the track record with this. It is reliable, no frills, but it will get clays broken. All in all for £358, what's that, $400? It's a win. Thank you for watching, guys. This channel is made possible by our amazing sponsors. You can find out more about them in the description down below. And if you want to support the channel, you can join as a member. You get loads of extra content, well, some extra content, and occasionally we hook up and go clay shooting together as a membership group. If you don't feel like joining today, we really appreciate you watching and subscribing. Have a wonderful day. I guess the big takeaway here is that I shouldn't paint a red line down the middle of my rib. It's not the World Championship maker.